that he met about you.
And Dominica was like, and I was like so nervous to speak to her.
And you knew who she was.
Yeah, of course.
And then you're like,
I was like Dominica, and I was like, I couldn't say a word. Like, and she like, bonjour. I'm just like looking at her, like, you know, it's like kind of like speechless. Like, oh shit, this is Dominica. Yeah. And she gave me her chef de cuisine email at the time, which was the CTC Kevin Finch.
Oh, okay.
He's like, reach out to my chef de cuisine and come start.
Yeah.
I was like 2 months. I never reached out to Kevin.
Yeah.
And then around my birthday time, around my birthday, which was like September, I visited in London, and I ate at a couple of restaurants, a couple of Michelin, and I was inspired. I was like, you know what? Let me just do this Michelin thing.
Yeah.
So I emailed Kevin when I was in London.
Yeah. Where'd you eat in London?
I went to Okoye, which is like...
I've been there.
You've been there?
I went there in 2020 before everything shut down.
I went there before they even got Michelin.
Damn! That's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Before they even got Michelin.
Yeah.
Before even no one knew who they was.
Yeah.
Because I was in Europe every other year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Italy, Spain.
Just eating everywhere
just
you could?
Yeah. Out in the, you know.
All Michelin or just... everywhere.
Michelin all over. Like I was really a cook that saved every dollar that I got to spend it in other restaurants.
Yeah,
like that was my mission.
That's literally what I did this summer.
That's awesome.
What I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what I did this summer. I went to South America for the first time.
Oh, I went
to Mexico. I went to Mexico for the first time. I went to all great restaurants: Pollo, Contenido, Rosetta, you name it. All of everyone that was in 50 Best and all these amazing lists. I mean, I just had a good amount of budget, and I just spent it all.
That's a great experience, man.
I was there for 2 weeks, and I was eating 3 restaurants a day.
Dude, same thing
you know
I'm doing right now. I'm like,
amazing.
yeah.
Living the best life.
That's what money's for, right? To spend it.
Exactly.
God damn it.
For me, it's more about like I
can't take it with you.
100%. I was just telling my mom about that. I think it's just for me, it's more about like as a chef. I think the knowledge that like our knowledge is money.
Yeah, 100%.
The more you spend it, the more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know, the more you could charge.
Yes.
The more your value goes up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. You know?
Honestly, I think eating sometimes is almost better than the cooking part of it.
100%. And I think you learn, so much more by listening and eating.
Yes.
Because as you're just doing repetition.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
you build speed.
Exactly. But to build your palate, you got to taste.
Yeah, yeah.
To build your palate, to create something creative, you have to see somebody else that doing something that you're not even thinking about.
Yeah.
That's what make you come back as a chef to create some shit that you never thought that you would create.
Yeah.
You feel what I mean? So that was that. But
you know how those moments like when you met that man who met Dominique, you didn't know that later was going to transform your life.
100%.
It's like you don't know these meals that you're having. You might not remember every dish, but your olfactory remembers it.
100%.
And then it'll be awakened by something maybe you see at the market, and then there's a new dish, and you're like, "Damn, I'm
right.
the shit."
Right.
But
Facts.
realistically, it's like 6 months ago you had this flavor, but you don't make that connection.
You don't quite remember exactly. Yeah. I definitely agree, man. It's crazy how with food, what the power the food has, man. Mm-hmm. Honestly, man. And I went to San Fran, stage. I was there for 3 days, and I flew in from the airport, straight to the restaurant.
Got you.
Did it 10 days. The next day, I did like 12 hours.
Yeah.
The last day, I worked at 7 a.m. all the way to 1:30.
Yeah.
I was at the restaurant all day, and I'd never been so excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I'm working 16 hours and wearing a white apron. It's not even dirty. Like, you know?
I love that.
You know what I mean? So I was like, it was just something different, you know? But, I mean, using tweezers was something I had to get adapted to, though, for sure.
That's,
you know, because being at Commanders where you're doing, like, hundreds of covers.
Yeah,
you actually sear fish a la minute.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily see 300, 400 fish at night.
Yeah.
I'm talking about different fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You could have, like, maybe 4 to 5 fish on your station.
Uh-huh.
So that was real cooking. So when I went out there, it was just, like, all these, like, I knew about sous vide, but didn't knew how to use sous vide until I went there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a lot of scientists.
I guess more like that, like slow down.
100% slow down, but it was a different way of
pressure.
No, like it was different. It was different approach.
Got you.
How I look at culinary versus, like what I knew what cooking was in the South versus what I knew what cooking was at Atelier.
It's crazy. Like 400 covers and 70 covers is like the same.
Essentially, I mean,
same stress.
We weren't even doing. It was not even doing 70.
Yeah,
we were doing like probably
40,
and it was stressful.
It's scary. Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy as like as tough commanders was. I never had to work like over 10 hours in a day.
Heard,
but I tell you, that was normal. You know what I'm saying? Because everything was so involved. Particular and like. It was so much, and it was so much happening within. It was like a 19 course, something like that. So it was a lot that was happening, and I was working the AM team. But before all that, back up where I stage, and the last day, Dominic asked me, "Do I want to work here?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" Mm-hmm. And then at the time, I didn't knew how hard it was to
live in San Francisco.
Exactly, I had no idea. I was just passionate. I was like, "Yes, yeah, I've got a job," And then she was like, "Well, you found a home. You found a place where you could start working." Everybody thought it was going to take me 2 or 3 months. A week later, I was back. A week later, I was back. But luckily enough, I had a mentor still to this day that I truly respect. And he had a friend that lived in San Francisco, and he asked his mom. His mom had a big house there, and a lot of rooms. And next thing you know, man. Boom! I found a place to stay. It was just like 8 minutes away from the restaurant. Driving, dude.
Perfect.
It was perfect. I mean, for the whole time, and I took Uber for a whole entire year.
Yeah,
just Uber every day. And it was like maximum I would pay to go to work for Uber would be $5.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Oh, that's dope.
It was so dope, dude. It was so dope. And then the best time of my life. One of the best times working in the kitchen. I mean, I definitely struggled a lot throughout there, man. A lot. When I first came in, it was different. It was different, but I struggled a lot. I was this close from getting fired because of like we had this talented chef, from Brittany, France, and this guy's, and he was leaving, and I had to take over his mise en place. He did all the difficult stuff, and he was teaching me, but not showing me the right, But long story short, man, I came to work. I think at 2:00 in the morning, right after everyone, the PM team left to clean the kitchen. Before I was supposed to clock in, I complete my mise en place. Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking about, before I was supposed to clock in 8:00.
From 2 in the morning to 8, you worked.
Not even 3. From 3 to 8.
Got you.
And then I ended up working my shift.
Mm-hmm.
I did that 3 days, and I just mastered my list. And I was struggling to make crepe. It took me. We used to do this crepe caviar thing that, this guy used to do it within like hour and a half or 2.
Yeah.
And I took like 5 hours to do crepe, and I just keep going down on my list.
Yeah, man.
I mastered that crepe like within 45 minutes. I was, from like 5 hours to 45 minutes.
It's a little easier to do it too when there's not everyone around you looking and you
100%.
feel this pressure.
But I just knew I could have done it, and at the time, man, that's when Chef Kevin just left.
Yeah.
And then we had this guy named JT from France. He spoke to me often in French. We had another chef that spoke Spanish. So they both like, this guy is speaking French, this guy is speaking Spanish. Putain, like telling me, you going, like, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that was 2 things. Like I was like, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah.
F this not for me. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna die. And I thought about all the struggle that had happened in the past. Mm-hmm. I'm like, shit, I ain't quitting.
Yeah.
I went from the worst employee to like finesse. I finessed my mise en place list.
Yeah.
And I was told, do you want to come work at night? At that point, it was no point.
Yeah.
I just feel like I just did everything I could have done. I knew it was no point working in the night, be like chef the party. It was no point because we doing all the mise en place. We know the pickups.
Yeah.
The AM Sue, I pretty much everything that AM Sue chef did in the morning, I knew was what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was doing pop-up on my days off at San Francisco and using Michelin star cooks to produce it. And I was paying them well. and you know that's how I survived.
Yeah.
And from there on, I just knew like, you know, JC pulled me aside. He was a research development chef, and he said, "Man, Pita, you know, you need to go. You need to like, I think you reach your max of growth," and I did. You know,
that's such a like honest thing to say.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of chefs that don't have the balls to tell you when you should leave.
100%.
Right? Because they just want to squeeze you dry until 100%. They get every little last thing. And then the relationship ends fucking horribly.
100%.
And you can't talk to those people.
100%.
So to all the chefs out there, be nice to your fucking cooks. Be their mentor. And when you're a mentor for the rest of their life. I'm
100%.
sorry if you didn't get no fucking time, but make the time, baby.
For sure, 100%.
And that's funny that you say that about coming in at 2 a.m, because we used to do that shit at Meadowood.
Sick.
Like, we used to wait till the CDCs left, the sous chefs, because you weren't allowed to be in the kitchen, and then we used to sneak back in and start doing prep. Or like,
sick.
Yeah, you know, or I'd go home to Napa and then drive back and just, you know, do 3 hours and then go back. Because if not, you're not going to survive. And then who wants to get yelled at for fucking 8 hours?
For sure, 100%. Like, I mean, 100%.
Yeah, it's
crazy, man.
Like,
it's crazy.
I don't want to make them yell at me, and I don't want to get, you know. So it's like, let me just finish my work.
It's crazy, man. Honestly, it was just like from there. I mean, from there, I just right after that point, you know. And then Dominique Crenn talked to me, you know, the week I was leaving. And she was like, she knew I was doing pop-up. She said, you should go do your food. And I was like, you know, I told her that I was nervous. I'm scared. She's like, what? She banged on the table. I'll never forget this moment. She said, fuck fear. Pita, you go over there, you know, you do it. You know, she's like, look at me. And when I start this restaurant and, you know, I didn't you know, look at me. Now I got 3 Michelin. She's like, it's possible for you, man.
Yeah, man, it's true.
It's crazy. And like from there on, I took 9 months off. Every single dollar that I saved, I traveled. I went to, you know, went to LA, New Orleans, New York, Paris, Spain, 4 months, Greece, Amsterdam. Passed to Morocco, went to Africa for 4 months. Yeah, and I just observed it. You know,
you're gonna have to give me restaurant recommendations for all these places.
100%, man, dude. It was amazing. It was amazing. You know, best time of my life, man. And then right after came back from Africa, that's when I worked at Joe. That's when I put an application, Joe Robuchon, the first restaurant. I was like, I heard a lot about Robuchon. I just didn't want to work any other restaurant in New York because I feel like Robuchon had that still cooking. Because I still wanted that cooking. Atelier was more like
arts and crafts.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like nitrogen.
Same
it was cool. I loved it.
It's great. Yeah. And there is cooking.
Exactly.
But it's not like cooking like that. I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? You know, and got hired at Robuchon and loved it. He was like one of the only few chefs left that was like still yelling in the kitchen. People come there. You know, and, you know, the executive chef. You know, he's great.
What was his name?
His name Chris. What's his name? Christoph.
Yeah,
you know, I don't remember his
the
last
guy
name.
who mentored me went to the Robuchon in Vegas.
Sick.
And he worked with Danzaga.
Okay.
That he punched him in the face.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awful.
If you guys want to hear about that, you can listen to the Jake Rojas episode.
Check it out. I'm gonna have to check it out myself too. But it's crazy, man. I mean, Robuchon was cool, man. I mean, the chef that was there, Christoph, he was amazing, man. That guy was talented. You know, he was there early. He left late, and you couldn't tell him nothing. He was very talented. So after 4 months of working there, pandemic hit, and I started hearing about it. But I heard about it through my travels. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I heard about you know, early on when I was in Europe.
Mm-hmm. So you were in Europe when COVID was?
No, not even when it was like talked about. This was like I was there
end of 2019.
No, like early 2019, I was traveling.
You know
what I mean? Because I left Atelier like early 2019.
Okay.
And then I was traveling for a bit, and then when I came back to the state, you know, 4 months later, that's when everything shut down.
Heard.
You know, so it was crazy.
Yeah.
But after everything shut down, you know, I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do now? Everyone lost their job, so I tell myself, what city do I feel? What city I think I could live on? I could live in. You know, I thought about New Orleans, so I came back, started doing pop-ups, and Dakar Nola has just been a success, man. So
yeah.
I'm